In a way, you shape the future of Allstate through the technologies that you create. How does it feel to really shape it?
It's actually never about technology. It's about how do you simplify things for customers to engage with the company or the brand or the product.
To look at technology and say, okay, here is where we need to invest also becomes very difficult. I'd love to understand, how do you prioritize?
We're experimenting a ton with Gen AI, but we're not just experimenting in a lab. We are actually putting out use cases. Imagine someone whose son or daughter is met with an accident. How do you use technology to ensure that I am actually the call handler that's being prompted if necessary to show empathy first? Making technology surface that as a script is something we can do using Gen AI. But we don't lead with Gen AI, we lead with empathy.
Hello everyone. Welcome to yet another exciting episode of the Zinnov Podcast Business Resilience Series. I'm Karthik Padmanabhan, Managing Partner at Zinnov and the host for today. Today, I'm excited to tell you that we're joined by Kamal Natarajan, SVP of Allstate Technology Solutions. Kamal has had a storied career in technology transformation. He has worked across multiple organizations, he's transformed their journeys, brought in new technologies, built teams, culturally very sensitive in actually talking about building teams out and innovation. He's built out great products, and today he's in the forefront of changing Allstate into a tech-led organization. Welcome, Kamal, and great to have you here. You've had a storied career now, spanning over 2 decades. Why don't you take us through your journey to get you to where you are right now?
Sure. So one, thank you for having us. Thank you for having me and the opportunity to represent Allstate. I appreciate it. Like you said, a little over 2 decades in the technology field, born and raised in India, in Bombay. So I did my undergrad here and then went for my grad studies to the United States, got a degree in computer science and then did my MBA and also got some education and got my first job at Otis Elevator Company as an intern, where it was fun to kind of work on elevators and not like mechanically on elevators, but build technology around elevators and work with some real giants in that space that taught me a lot of things as to how to make technology relevant and simple enough for companies to put to good use. So my career at Otis was for about 13 years, and then I left and went to Terminix. I was a CIO for Terminix for a couple of years, and then I have been at Allstate for now almost 9 years, actually over 9 years. And I have been in 3 different divisions at Allstate. I was the CIO for Roadside, a business unit that rescues people when they're stranded on the roads. So built a ton of cool technology for them. And then I went to the claims division, which is in an insurance company like Allstate. Claims is a large, massive, complex organization that does some amazing things like, just restoring customer lives when things go wrong. So building a ton of technology and supporting tech for claims was a fun gig. Did that for some time. And then I went into claims to run their digital transformation. So I was the chief digital officer for claims for a couple of years. And then I came back to technology, and now I'm responsible for all things tech. I had technology for the insurance businesses for Allstate. And Allstate, for those that may not know, is one of the largest insurers in the United States. We sell in the United States and Canada. We have our captive center, our global in-house center here in Bangalore as well as in Pune. We call it Allstate India. So I'm here visiting Allstate India and my team's here.
Fascinating in terms of how now you've shaped businesses right now. And today's world, business and technology is completely inseparable. We can't imagine a business that does not run with technology powering it.
Yep.
So in a way, you shape the future of Allstate through the technologies that you create. How does it feel to really shape it? How do you prioritize it and how do you work towards it?
If you try not to lead with technology and lead with outcomes or experiences, it just becomes a lot more relevant. One of the mistakes I think a lot of leaders make is make it about technology. It's actually never about technology. It's about how do you simplify things for customers to engage with the company or the brand or the product. So when you have that perspective, it has personally helped me in my career to say the so what behind things, not so much the what and the how. When I was growing up, my mother taught me this very important thing that has been ingrained and etched in my brain. She said, if you cannot explain something in a simple way, you probably don't understand it. Okay, so my tendency is to try to understand things in a way that I can simplify and explain it to a 10-year-old or a 5-year-old. And I've learned that the 5-year-olds and the 10-year-olds are much smarter than I was when I was 5 and 10. So it becomes a challenging task.
It's trying you there.
Yeah. So I have a tendency to try to simplify things. Technology is no different to me. And I don't need to be an expert in technology. I just need to know how to use it. That's the key difference. And so if you figure out and if you're passionate about making technology simple enough for consumption and hide the complexities and not eliminate the complexities, I think that's the key. So this is what my career has taught me. Allstate has taught me that. Insurance is a very complicated, unfortunately complicated phenomenon. People don't necessarily understand it well because it's complicated.
Right.
I don't even think insurers can explain insurance too well. It goes back to what my mother said, partly because we don't understand it ourselves.
Right.
So the point I'm trying to make is the key to success is to simplify things.
Right.
Starting with our core existence and the product. Why people need what they need.
Right.
How can it actually help them in their lives? And how do we build technology to make that engagement, that consumption easy enough?
So really focusing towards business outcomes, customer success, looking at what stakeholders need, and simplifying technologies as a way to go achieve those outcomes has been the key all along. But talking about technology itself, it's just evolving all the time. What was probably cutting edge a few years ago is already legacy now. Right. So in a way, then to look at technology and say, okay, here is where we need to invest also becomes very difficult.
Yep.
So love to understand, how do you prioritize? How do you make the investment choices that you need? How do you know this is the technology to invest in, or here are the ones that we need to focus on, and then build a roadmap for them? With some examples would be awesome.
The key is to not chase technology. The key is to essentially remain focused on the so what. Now, of course, the challenge is technology is changing. I've been an engineer in my career. So one of the things about engineers that I'm most proud of is we are lazy by design. And the fact that we are lazy helps, because if you give a very mundane task to an engineer, she will try to figure out a way to automate it, right? The worst thing you can do to an engineer is give her something that shouldn't exist. So there is a combination of re-engineering of processes, existence, and whatnot, and then thinking about automation. At Allstate, we've become really good at becoming ridiculously fast to do things. We're experimenting a ton with Gen AI. But we are not just experimenting in a lab. We are actually putting out use cases. Learning about summarizations, for example.
Right.
How do we put voice experiences backed with intelligent assistance, such that if we are humanizing the experience, we are making it very conversational, but still it's a artificially intelligent mechanism behind, and trying to see if that's upholding our values around empathy, respect, dignity, and all that.
Right.
Imagine someone whose son or daughter is met with an accident. It happens, right? And that's what insurance is about. First thing is you're worried about their safety.
Absolutely.
How do you use technology to listen to a conversation to ensure that I am actually the call handler that's being prompted if necessary to show empathy first? Don't worry about the 16 questions you need to ask to file the claim.
Right.
Assume you're on the other side dealing with a loved one that is going through a problem right now.
Right.
What would you want to hear? Making technology surface that as a script is something we can do using Gen AI. But we don't lead with Gen AI, we lead with empathy. So that kind of thinking, that kind of a culture, baked with our way of working, which is, we call it the outcome-based delivery model, it will not restrict us from only using available tech stacks.
Right.
So that's what we bet on. We have no limit to the kind of tools we can use, because you don't care about investments there. We actually invest a lot. But it's always about purposeful innovation, which is like, what's your North Star? What's it about? And oh, by the way, so long as it's about that, go blow up things. I'm okay in a lab.
Right.
But come back and make it relevant is what we do.
Great talent, shared purpose, cultural values is able to get you to innovate better, faster, and embrace new technology.
Can I just maybe use one more example?
Of course.
We believe customer likes and tastes are changing. We believe the way they're used to engaging is changing. And they're teaching us, and they're basically telling us, get with the program. For example, traditionally, Allstate has been a very exclusive agency-based business, where you had these brick and mortar setups. We still have them. There's a local Allstate agent in the area. Go walk in and you'll get the best help you need, right? We're known for that. And our agents do an exceptional job with us. Not everyone wants to go to an agent. It's a realization. We know it. We've always kind of branded ourselves as an exclusive agency shop. Then we've had other brands that sell directly to customers without having to go through agents. Now we are kind of bringing all that together.
Right.
And we are also saying Allstate is also available to you in the manner of your choosing.
Right.
If you're a person that just wants to buy insurance or look up insurance online, we are there. If you want to call us and get someone to help you with a phone, we are also available there. Our transformative growth program it's got 5 pillars to it. One is expand customer access. It's basically saying, give them more options to access us, not just exclusive agents, direct channel, and whatnot. Improved customer value. Value is essentially saying, give them a better feeling of value.
Right.
Maybe by reducing the price, getting more competitive, or offering them more for the same price. So we're working very hard on our product portfolio. Then there is increase our sophistication. This has got a lot of smarts and intelligence, data science behind it, technology behind it. Increase our sophistication on customer acquisition. So we are, in the United States, you'll notice that we are all over when it comes to advertising in different media, and we are very prevalent now, and we are kind of relating to people, and we've really gotten more sophisticated with acquiring the leads and customers through better investments and smarter investments. The fourth thing is build new technology ecosystems, because we are not going to just modernize and take our time to kind of get the modernization roadmap there. We are building new technology ecosystems like new policy admin systems, new customer engagement management systems, all from the ground up. We've done it already, and we are rolling that in those new products out. The fifth one is transform our organizational culture.
Right.
So these 5 things coming together are actually pushing us. It's becoming the secret sauce for us to actually make ourselves available, easier to access. So it's not only going to be exclusive agents, it's going to be other channels of access, better products that they can relate with. Not every coverage we thought everyone needed, but tailored coverages to meet your lifestyle versus my lifestyle differently and whatnot. And then technology systems that make it extremely easy and fast for us to completely change what we just did yesterday and to go back with something new today. So speed and flexibility is what we want.
And really what I take away from that is the center of that 5-point strategy is that you put customer and people as everything that the whole thing is centered on, right? So all of those 5 pillars are focused towards customer value and how we look at people in enabling that customer value, right? So that's,
and it gives purpose and a mission to the smartest engineers that just want to put their headphones on, wear a hoodie, and just code away. It's good to have that purpose. Just get out of their way. That's what we do.
Yeah. In fact, I think you led me to the question that I've been wanting to ask you, which is on ideation, innovation. Because innovation is in a way key to your digital transformation.
Yeah.
And you've also built in a lot of high-performance teams who are culturally tuned towards innovating, getting those ideas out there as fast as possible.
Yeah.
How have you done that? Talk to us about how we build those teams.
Yeah.
How do you create that innovative mindset?
My experience in going out and working in claims, for example, at Allstate, was to appreciate that processes also play a very important role.
Right.
All technology can do, if we don't push hard enough, is to automate something that, again, shouldn't exist.
That's a great point, yeah.
So starting with the process and its relevance to a customer experience that we want to deliver. And you kind of go even further. I say cross the line, because we always have been building solutions for the front lines.
Right.
When you look at things from the eyes of the customers, all the complexities we believe in don't matter.
Right.
To the customer, it's all about 4 things when it comes to insurance. It's they discover the need to purchase something, they purchase it, then they want to manage and interact with the product, they want to use their protection, or they want to renew and leave. That's it. If we reverse engineer our existence around these 5 journeys, life is simple. There's a lot of complexities to do that. Changing process and changing experiences to simplify it for the eyes of the customer by either eliminating complexity or simplifying complexity is the key. A good example is this how you would consume life outside of work? Today, in India, it's as digital as I can imagine. Consuming life is very digital. Is your app to file a first notice of loss or ask for help when things go wrong? As simple as how you would ask for help, to get food delivered to your house. That's how we are forcing ourselves to think about insurance.
Right.
And that's what's helping us really get excited about, wow, we've got a lot to work on because our world is complex.
Right. I love the way that we started with innovation and then we spoke about how it's all about building processes and innovating around processes. And then we tied it back to making lives easier. How do we make things easier for ourselves and how do people, and so coming with that a motivation of how do we make our lives easier, how do we make things simpler, how do we look at it, and then use that as a trigger for innovation and building solutions. That's actually excellent, right? In that same vein, if I look at insurance as such, where do you see trends in insurance? Are they changing? Are they remaining similar? Where do you feel the puck is moving when it comes to insurance?
I'll probably say a very unpopular thing. I think insurance is the worst industry you can benchmark because I think we are far backward because the complexities. We actually admire our complexities, right? To a point where we almost come across as not wanting to change it.
Okay.
So the company that actually takes the leap is the one that's going to win. Allstate has been a company, for example, that is led with what we call exclusive agencies, where you have these brick and mortar setups that have been extremely influential in our growth and our presence. Where people walk into the brick and mortars and experience insurance. There was a time where travel would never be possible without actually walking in and working with a travel agent.
Right, exactly.
Right? Look at the world today, right? If you don't kind of think about the customer experience and is it simple enough for a consumer to get something complicated, what the kayaks of the world, the orbits of the world, and the Expedias of the world have done is they've hidden the complexities of airline reservation. They're not necessarily eliminated it, they've hidden it.
Correct.
That's a tactic. So how do you hide or eliminate complexities is what it comes down to. In insurance, we'll win if we even align to the customer experience, because unfortunately, nobody in the market, in the industry, is doing something very remarkable. So again, benchmarking against a leader in the airline space or the banking space is what we are trying to do. So it comes down to hiding complexities. It comes down to eliminating complexities. And again, making our products and experiences super easy to consume for a consumer, so she doesn't have to think about it.
Right.
How do you make it ridiculously effortless?
Right.
To buy insurance, to get help when you need it, shop for a better price when you also need it.
Yeah. Wonderful, right? And I think there's almost a theme that's emerging in terms of how do we declutter, how to make things simpler, how do we really transform by making it easier for consumers, right? That's probably the theme of what we're trying to do. And I love that totally. Just going to move on to a different part of what I've been wanting to ask you, which is your center in India. The center in India today has really grown. It's been there for 12 years, but grown from what 50 odd people to 8,000 people right now. It's a multifunctional center, so you have technology, you have chat services, you have operations. That again, I do know that you're actually looking at simplifying across value streams as well and not keeping a siloed way of operations, which I think is wonderful. Could you tell us about how the center has evolved in your eyes? How is it shaping and how is it helping the global strategy?
Yeah, I think our Allstate India Center is very core to our existence.
Right.
It's very core to our strategy. It's not just labor arbitrage. It's a strategic center where we actually moved operations in its entirety, functions in its entirety to India. It's not just within tech, it's also within, like you said, claims, shared services, and other back office operations.
Right.
Having folks with a completely diverse and different perspective, serving in different markets, consuming life differently in a completely different continent, and offering their perspectives on what things could be and how insurance is consumed here, it's actually making us better.
Right.
The talent here is extraordinary. Educational institutes are, for example, in technology, cranking out great talent. How do you take that raw talent, I call it an unpainted bumper, and paint it to your liking? Right. So that's what we do well, which is that we induct them into our way of thinking and our way of working, but we don't try to reshape their curiosity and their intellect.
Right.
Because the worst thing you can do is hire smart people and tell them what to do.
Exactly.
What we do is just show them the problem and get out of their way and empower them.
Right.
So that's a culture that I think is helping us. It's helping us attract, retain some of the best talent. We are not necessarily the best payers, but we pay pretty well. But more importantly, we create meaningful work.
Wonderful.
The feeling of inclusion, I think, is what separates us from many others.
The line sometimes that I say is, if I'm talking about a center in India, come in for the talent, stay for the technology, watch it transform the global organization, right? So all of that, what we try to do, talent, technology, and transformation, we see that in your center. And thank you for fostering that as well over here. It's a great story that we talk about. Now, talk about business resilience. If you have to say, what's your secret sauce? If there's one magic ingredient towards business resilience, what would that be in your view, from your journey?
Actually, I would think it's our shared purpose. And I'm very proud of this. Our chairman says this really well. Our shared purpose is to empower customers with protection products and services to help them achieve their hopes and dreams. What that means to me is we want to be that company that is there when the customer needs us the most.
Right.
We actually make it real because we believe our claim handling, for example, is one of the best in the industry. When things go wrong, Allstate shows really well. So that, I think, our shared purpose, our commitment to our stakeholders, our customers, our communities,
right,
is what separates us because it's about them. We are a company that has reserves. Bad weather has often shaken the industry up.
Right.
But we remain resilient. We remain committed. Right. We've kind of persevered through bad weather.
Right.
What also shapes us is the native innovation that we bring in because of our passion. When you have not many means, you get really innovative. Scrappy is usually the way to win. It's not that we don't have means, but we pride ourselves in being scrappy.
Right.
So how do you best solve for things without necessarily going and buying new gadgets and new tools every time?
Right.
That's a tendency we have because we are very cautious about spending customer money. But when it comes to something we believe there is value in, we don't mind spending a ton of money around it. So purposeful innovation is what I think has differentiated us. Our shared purpose and our commitment to value and our customer commitment, our community commitment
right,
has centered us, has grounded us. And it's the talent that actually differentiates us.
Yeah.
Everyone is just talented to make a difference, just passionate to make a difference every day.
I love the scrappy part, right? I'll take that, right? Being scrappy, I'll take it as dogged determination and tenacity, right, is probably what it is.
Growing up in Bombay has taught me a few things.
Absolutely, absolutely. That actually is the next question, and these are more to say, okay, in this complete fast evolution that we are seeing, how do we stay relevant? And so how have you stayed relevant? What is your lesson to others out there?
I think you need to find a way to have exclusive impact to the company.
Right.
The day I realize I'm not adding value, I'm going to go find something else. It's okay to not be the smartest person in the room. Right? Your role is to become a platform that brings the right people with diverse skills, cross-functional teams. It's not always technologists and engineers. When we have some of the best engineers and best digital product managers, the best minds that we believe we recruit, and we feed them this passion that makes them indestructible, right? But it's then building teams around missions being very customer-centric, very passionate, very noble, I would say. Empowering them in a way and making it so passionate that they don't feel they're working. They feel they're out there to make a difference in people's lives.
Right.
That's the motive, that's the passion that we try to inculcate. Becoming a part of that recipe and creating a culture is what I do now.
Right.
So I'm more of a lifter of blockers. I'm the water boy on the sidelines that's helping teams win. So my job has become more of an HR guy right now.
Orchestrator, Kamal. Orchestrate, that's the one.
So staying relevant, I just am very curious enough to try to understand the so what behind things.
Right.
So not getting carried away with a bunch of cool tech, to your point. Tech changes before you know it. It's irrelevant.
Exactly.
Knowing how to put it to good use, having a curious mind, and learning about life by just consuming life digitally is what makes me stay relevant, to be honest. So trying to simplify things, trying to say, you know what, I use this particular feature in this app that I booked something with. A reservation, for example, I love this Open Table app, for example. This is how we make restaurant reservations in the United States. I've been away for too long, so I don't know what the equivalent here in India is. But that inspired me to say, booking an appointment with a repair shop in the United States for an insurance company should be as simple as Open Table.
Right.
Okay? Everyone we hire knows about Open Table because that's how they reserve. Guess what? We created an experience that customers don't have to think how to use because they now relate to, this is how I consume life outside of work. So as an example, how do you make things simple and relatable?
Right.
And for that, you just need to be curious and consume life digitally. You need to drink your own champagne. And when you know how to do that, and when you're humble enough to know your role is to just be an influencer of people to bring out their best, I think you can find your space.
The next generation of leaders, they're coming through, right? And what is your word of advice to them? And when you look at them trying to shape the next generation of products, of Allstate and so on, what's your word of advice to them?
It's a good question. I have a 15-year-old daughter. She's the best thing that ever happened to us. She teaches me a ton. She's the one that I used to experiment, saying, she would try to play around and she would just throw the phone and walk away. Saying she's disinterested. So that was the sign, saying make it simpler, make it easier. Now she's a generation I relate with, and I'm also very curious about as to how the hell is this generation going to shape expectations. So that's how I ask myself. My advice to her has been find a way to be that person that knows how to get things done.
Right.
It's as simple as that. Become the hustler or the person that knows how to get things done. I think that is one skill that will serve everyone for life. If you're dependable and are not just a person that brings out problems, but actually recommendations and actually takes the initiative to try and bring solutions to the table, that's the person that will make herself or himself very relevant for life.
Brilliant.
So to my advice to this generation, while they have a lot more access to tools, tech, and knowledge and wisdom than we did when we were growing up, ground yourselves on what will differentiate me. And I think what will differentiate them is, are they the people that anyone would bet on? Become that person that everyone wants in their team because they know how to solve problems.
Get things done.
Get things done.
Absolutely. Wonderful. Just to close off, right, I'd like you to turn clairvoyant, look at the future. Any one or two bold predictions in terms of what's going to happen. Too many things happening right now, but when you look into the crystal glass, what do you think things are going to happen either on the world level, technology level, business level, anything could be?
I think there is this thing called the technology quotient that we believe in. How much about technology do we know? It used to be misunderstood as, do you know how to build technology? Do you know how to program? I believe it's about, do you know how to use technology? That tendency for people to just live life surrounded by technology is going to eliminate the role of the CIO, right? I think my job is absolutely going to not be needed. Every leader, every functional leader needs to have a strong technology quotient. With that, I mean, you need to know how to think with a technology-enabled mind that says an operation to do that traditionally involved 10 steps.
Right.
Needs to be redesigned to only involve 2 steps.
Right.
And it needs to be a completely no-touch operation.
Right.
You don't need a CIO or a technology organization to go do that. You probably have tools in the market that do that.
Right.
Gen AI is changing the world. Gen AI is going to be so generative that a lot of things we do are not going to require humans.
Right.
But it's going to require humans to tell it what to do and how to do it. So becoming the riders of Gen AI, knowing how to use tech and put it to good use, I think is a differentiator. So I think a couple of predictions, the role of technology organizations is going to fade away.
Right. Wonderful. We could just keep talking all the time, right? And this is a great conversation, but it's a great way to end in the way that you just said. We live in a technology world. We live in a world which is all intermersed with technology, that we need to understand how to start using it, and it becomes a part of what you do. But the overall theme is to keep things simple, simplify things, simplify processes, make life simple, use technology for making life simple, bring that all together, and then that's what the world that we're going to be living in the future.
Yeah.
And that's what you've been shaping as well, Kamal. Thank you so much for talking to us. Thank you for being here and sharing your views.
Thanks for having me.
Right, brilliant. Thank you.
Thank you for listening to this episode of the Business Resilience Series. Stay tuned for more such interesting episodes. You can listen to our podcast on Apple Podcast, Google Podcast, Spotify, or wherever you get your podcast from. To know more about Zinnov, visit our website, www.zinnov.com, or drop us a note at info@zinnov.com. Follow us on Twitter @Zinnov for regular updates on our content. Thank you again for listening to the Business Resilience Series of the Zinnov Podcast.